you have a lot of people in the West now using Sudan as a way of not talking about Gaza. Bernard-Henri Lévy recently came back from Sudan, the French author. He wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal saying, it's much worse in Sudan than Gaza, and the American left doesn't care. As someone who wants to see more coverage of and more attention on Sudan, how do you do that, Nesrine, while also not letting Israel supporters like BHL use it for whataboutist purposes?
I mean, this is one of the biggest frustrations of trying to get attention for Sudan, is that it has been used as a tool to prove that the concern for genocide elsewhere is motivated by kind of nefarious actors. I think that the only thing we can do, the only thing we can persist in doing, is try and get the word out, keep it in the headlines, try and not also fall into the trap of pressing it into the Gaza narrative. I think people have a huge amount of bandwidth to be able to understand that other human beings are suffering elsewhere. The Gaza genocide has a slightly different element to it, which is that it is funded by taxpayers' money in European countries and in the United States. So it is a domestic issue. Sudan feels less of a domestic issue because there's less of a sort of direct stake that these countries have in Sudan. Having said that, that does not mean that people cannot be appealed to on a humanitarian basis.
Yes.
And this notion that everyone must care about every conflict in the world because it is a feature of their politics is disingenuous. People care about different conflicts for different reasons. And I think as far as Sudan is concerned, it is an incredibly desperate humanitarian situation. There are actually no words to describe the suffering that people are going through, and the generations upon generations of accumulated suffering, and the sort of historical deprivations and savagery that has been visited upon the Sudanese people, particularly in the West, by successive governments, including the legacy government in the Sudanese armed forces that was previously the RSS partner. And so this is not a conflict that anybody has any interest in wielding as a cudgel to scold anyone else about not caring about. It is just about making sure that these stories are told, that it's kept in the headlines, that we try and explain as much as possible that this is a human-to-human story rather than a political story, which I think Gaza is. And hope for the best.